Welcome everyone once more to Z Lessons. In today's video, we solve the grade 12 Mathematics 2024 paper 2 GCE question, which was on question 4B. This video is all about this matrix problem, and we are going to solve question 1 and question 2. So before we do that, I highly emphasize that you download this book. As you can see, Matrices. It's a very phenomenal book that I have compiled questions from 2016 all the way to the current date, which is the 2024 examinations. So this book contains everything that you need to pass your exams. As you can see, let us open it, and you will see that this book contains all these papers, as you can see, from last year's previous paper 2024 all the way down to 2016. So when you download this book, you get access to this. You can find this book by checking your video description. Below you will find a link, and from that link you'll be directed to Google Drive, where you will find your PDF document. Having said all that, let us continue. So this paper was written in 2024 paper 2. There is a reason why I'm choosing this question, because it's a little bit challenging, so I want just to clear out the noise and show you how to answer. So let us read out the questions and we can begin with the answering. Question A says that find the value of x for which the determinant of b is 22. So as you can see, we are asked in other terms to find the value of x, and the determinant has already been given as 22. So for this question, there's no need of finding the determinant. The determinant has already been given. Then question 2 says, hence find the inverse of b. Okay, so question 2 says, hence find the inverse of b. As you can see from this PDF, the questions carried 2 marks each, so we are required to answer all the questions. By the way, it's very cold, as you can see from the time. I'm recording this video around 7:39. As you can see, it's early in the morning. The weather out there is very chill. I'll use my fancy way of saying it's very unserendipitous, if you understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, let us answer the question. So in order for us to find the value of x, we need to first determine how to find the determinant. So if you want to answer this question number 1, you need to know how to find the determinant. Even though the determinant has been given, we need to find how to find the determinant. So to find the determinant, this is what we do. So I'm just going to say I. So the determinant is found by this. I'm just going to say determinant of matrix what? Of matrix B. We use capital letter B to denote a matrix. So the determinant is found by what? Multiplying the elements in the leading diagonal. So that is 4 multiplied by negative 3x. Okay. After doing that, after multiplying the elements in the leading diagonal, then we subtract from it the product of the elements in the trailing diagonal. So the trailing diagonal is negative 1 and x. So we say negative 1 multiplied by x. So that's how we get to find the determinant. Okay, hopefully you are following along. So at this point onwards, what we need to do is we need to multiply. So what is 4 times negative 3x? That will give us what? Negative 12x. So that will be negative 12 x. Okay, because 4 and negative 3 gives us 12. Okay, minus. Before we add a minus, we need to understand that this is negative times negative, which gives us a what? A positive. So it's going to be what? Positive. So now this is what will happen. By the way, this all is grouped because we are finding the product of the trailing diagonal. So all this should be found first. Okay, so we need to add the brackets outside and work out first what's inside here before we can do anything else, because we said that when finding the determinant, the product of the elements in the trailing diagonal, as you can see here, minus the product of the elements in the trailing, as you can see. So this is all the trailing diagonal. That's why we are putting them in brackets. We need to find the value first. So what is negative? 1 times x. It's going to be negative x, not so. So we are going to say negative x, like so. Here it's equated to B, matrix B, determinant of matrix B, as you can see. So now what we need to do here is that multiply the signs. As you can see, negative and negative, to get rid of the brackets, negative times negative, it's going to be a positive. So this is going to be negative 12x plus x, as you can see. So now that is what we have so far. Hopefully, I'm not rushing. I want you to benefit from this video. So what is going on here? As you can see, the determinant of B has already been given. What's the determinant of B? 22. So here where there is a determinant of B, we just substitute the value 22. So it's going to be 22 equals negative 12x plus x. Okay, so now here things have become manageable. Things have become manageable. We can work with this. As you can tell, these are like terms, not so. It's like here at x here, this variable x has a 1 in front. Every variable has a coefficient of 1 in front, not so. Depending on the sign, it can be negative 1, positive 1. For this case, it's a positive 1. So it's like saying that negative 12 plus 1, that's going to be negative 11. Okay, because we're adding a positive number to a negative, so that negative reduces, as you can see. So from negative 12 it will become negative 11. So it's going to be negative 11x. Okay, then here we're going to have 22. So now, as you can see, this x and negative 12 are glued by multiplication. So we need to get rid of the negative 11 so that we find the value of x. So what's the opposite of multiplication? It's division. So what we are going to do here is that we are going to divide both sides by negative 11, as you see. So when we do that, this cancels out with that. Negative 11 into negative 11, it's 1. Negative 11 into 22, that's going to be negative 2. So it's going to be x equals negative 2. So that's the value of x. We have found the value of x just like that. Okay then, now that we have found the value of x, let us find the value of the inverse of b. So let us go to part 2 to find the inverse. So how do we find the inverse? So we're going to say that b inverse, that's how we show that this is b inverse, equals, what do we need to have in order to find the inverse of a given matrix? 1 over the determinant. Determinant of what? Determinant of B multiplied by the adjoint. Okay? The adjoint of what? Of matrix B. So this is all we need to find the inverse of matrix P. So we say inverse equals 1 over, what's the determinant? If you remember in the question, the determinant has already been given as 22. So we use that 22 right here. So we say 22 multiplied by the adjoint. So the adjoint, what's the adjoint? The adjoint is not something that needs even computation or any form of mathematics. It's just interpretation. So adjoint means that all you need to know is what are leading diagonals and trailing diagonals. When you understand that, you won't have a problem and challenge when understanding the adjoint. So adjoint simply means that in the leading diagonal, as you can see, these elements that I've covered here, 4 and the negative 3x, are what we call elements in the leading diagonal. From the first element to the last element, those are elements in the leading diagonal. So what that simply means is that elements in the leading diagonals, we interchange them. So here where there is a 4, positive 4, we put negative 3x. Here where there is negative 3x, we put a 4. So that's how we do it. Then in the trailing diagonal is this other diagonal. If you think of it, it's like an X. This side is the leading diagonal. That side is the trailing diagonal. So in the trailing diagonal, we don't need to swap their positions. They remain where they are. All we need to do is change their signs. So if an element is a negative element, it becomes positive. If it's a positive element, it becomes a negative element. So as you can see. So if we want to find the adjoint of this matrix, this will become, these will interchange, they will swap places, then these will change their signs. So we're going to have a positive 1 because this is a negative, so we need to change it into positive, and this is going to be a negative x because it's positive and we need to change it into negative. Hopefully I'm making myself clear. I'm going to use a ruler for this. So we're going to say here where we had a 4, we are going to have a negative 3x. Then here where we had the negative 3x, we are going to have a 4. So we have interchanged the positions of the elements in the leading diagonal. Then for the trailing diagonal, we just change their signs. So here we had the positive 1 to be, we had the negative 1, it's going to be a positive 1. Here we had a positive x, so it's going to be a negative what? Negative x, as you can see. There's a reason why I'm writing the x. You will understand just a moment. It's not necessary to write this in the exam because we already know the value of x. I just want to show you the flow or the process. So this is what we have so far. So B inverse equals 1 over 22 multiplied by this same matrix, but with a difference, because we already know the value of x. So we need to substitute. Where there is x, we put the value that we have found. So as you can see, we already know the value of x as negative 2. So here, when we put a negative 2 here, to be like saying negative 3 times negative 2. Negative times negative, it's positive. So the answer will be positive. So what is 3 times 2? 3 times 2 is a 6. So it's going to be a 6 here because that's the answer. Even here, we already know the value of x as negative 2. So it's like we have two negatives. This negative here and that negative we have here. So what I'm saying is that, let me just write it here. It's like saying that negative, then the value of x will be negative 2. We are multiplying the signs. As you can see, negative times negative, it's positive. So the end result will become a 2. So that's where the 2 is coming from right here. Okay. Then for these are just integers. You can just write like so. So then for the final answer, all we need to do is multiply this 1 over 22 multiplied by all the elements in the matrix, and that will be our final answer. As simple as that. All you need to do is practice, practice, and do more practice. Matrices used to puzzle me a lot, but I came to understand that the more you practice these problems, the better you become. Okay, so we are almost done. So we have to do is multiply that by that, and since this is a paper 2, you're allowed to use a calculator. I'm just going to show you the final answer. So these are the answers. Okay, these are the answers. So these are the answers that I obtained. And as you can see, that is how we get to the answer. So that's it. So that's the end of this question. We have solved all the questions. As you can see, we have solved and scored 4 marks on this question. And yeah, so that's how you answer equations in matrices. Okay, thank you so much for watching.